Howdy, folks. Welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And it is what, Friday? Yep, it's Friday. And I got Zigzag Zilla. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today, I guess. Yeah, I'm doing good. Much better than I have been, that's for sure. Let's just leave it at that. How you doing, though?
Good, man. Good. Just excited for the show. As we said, I think there's gonna be another good chat here between you two, between us over here. So yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely. And I'm going
I
to keep up
appreciate
with
you.
that. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Sorry.
I was saying I appreciate you having me back on too. I can't see the chat. I'm letting everybody know I can't see the chat. So I'm gonna leave that to Brian to handle that. Any
That's what I was
questions?
going to say. I'll
He'll let
keep
me
up
know.
with chat and get questions as they come in. So everybody, make sure if you have any questions, ask them because we do want this to be an interactive chat. As always, I fly by the seat of my pants, so this is just a real time discussion. No pre planning at all here, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, uh, yeah. Is there anything that you wanna start with, or you want me to just?
yeah, actually, I do want to talk about a couple of things just that's been in, I know it's mainstream news, but just something I had touched on last week. And, we're talking about the eradication of all these statues and things like that, the erasing of our history, how they've done it in Afghanistan, Iraq, and all these places. And, tell you how they're basically wanting to rewrite history. Well, now I've seen, I know you've seen where they're toppling the George Washington ones now. And literally, like I was talking last week, they would have to, if they're wanting to try to write out that portion of history. I mean, that would totally rewrite all of human history. And now I'm even hearing that the BLM is wanting to start taking down statues of Jesus and other religious figures as well. Any thoughts on that?
Well, Brian, man, you know what the thing is, man. I'll start with this first before I even get into that. The title of this, the reason I wanted to talk about, energy, frequency, and vibration. You know what I'm saying? I'm like real big on as far as to how I observe, my reality. You know what I'm saying? And I encourage people who, on this path to basically look at this as an observer because this is an emotional game. You know what I'm saying? And basically everything, the most important currency here again would be the attention. But the reason I even say this is because of this. Um, if things are going a certain way where they're knocking things down and all that, you hear spiritual channels, you'll always hear the big shift is here, the big shift is here. You know what I'm saying? The big shift is here, ascension is happening, people are waking up, right? So we already know that the system is failing for the simple fact that schools closed down, businesses closed down. Why is that? That's because what's unnatural is no longer able to be sustained. So what's happening is that certain scenarios, and this is why I say you have to be in control of your reality by your perception and how you, as the source, know that you're going to empower with your attention.
Yep.
They will bring your frequency down based on certain scenarios that will be presented in front of you. Now, let's say they knock all these statues down, they knock all this down. All the information we're always seeking is always outside of us. And now, based on experience, I'm going to tell you this because I'm not regurgitating information. This is experience that I'm experiencing.
Right.
A lot of the time, we always hear this too. We say we learn information outside of us, but it is really within us that we're learning it. So everything that I learned and I have acquired up until now has always been within me, which means that I put myself in the position to attract certain information that have helped me connect dots, but because I was in a pure heart space. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, when we talk about Saturn, we talk about all these planetary alignments and how there's the war on Earth and whatnot, or against the heart. You notice these phrases they say, stay home, stay home. They're literally telling you should stay home, but nobody's really getting that message. You know what I'm saying? Like stay home, don't go outside means stay home, don't go outside. You know what I'm saying? If you ever go to them and tell them, hey, well, what's going on? Well, we told you to stay home, but nobody knows where home is. They think home is their house, and that's just your place of residence. You know what I'm saying? Because you see how you have a president of the United States? They need your attention in the fact that you would have to go vote. They create a problem. It's a problem they create. They have a solution, and then you would have to go vote for somebody to fix the problem that they originally created. So that's how mayors are created. That's how presidents are created. And you consent and to becoming just a resident in your reality. So if you're a resident, you reside, you take the side seat, you take the passenger seat. These little simple things are things that people really need to just connect. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of what I hear when I look online, and I want you, Brian, and everybody here listening to really know this. A lot of times when people give a message, I can't help but to notice that they don't sound like they're actually coming from a space where they're trying to guide people. They're just complaining. You know what I'm saying? And when you complain, it's no better than anybody who's just protesting in the street, because protest in Spanish is protestar. Protestar, it comes from the word complain. So it's like you have a problem at your job. What do? They tell you go to the complaint box. Go complain to human resources. But we're thinking of everything in a human way rather than thinking from a source of power, like where we're actually in power. And listen, your reality will change if you just do this within yourself. Like I'm having experiences just gardening, but it doesn't mean that everybody has to garden. Everybody has their own path. Everybody talks about everybody has their own individual gifts. The gifts are the blessings that you're here to find out what they are, and you express them in the ways that you know how to do them best, but from a pure heart space. See, if I'm gardening and I'm looking for a profit, I'm no longer gardening, I'm farming. You get what I'm saying? But if I'm gardening, I'm doing it from a pure heart space where I'm expecting nothing back. What does that mean? That means that I put myself in a position to actually open my heart to I don't even like to use the word infinite intelligence, because when you use infinite is infinite. Finite means in limitation. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to look. And the thing is, if you were to use that word infinite, you would have to redefine what that word would actually mean to you. You know what I'm saying? Just like that's what consciousness is. It's basically sitting back, looking at everything and just observing what it is that the words that you say, what follows after I am, and what actions you take. Are you proactive or are you reactive? You get what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff that's presented out here, if you're not doing it, let's say, then you know that there's an aspect of yourself that you have to sit back and reflect. That's true consciousness. Everybody's woke. I can't stand when people say, I'm woke. Like, you're woke. It's just what level of consciousness are you on? Because if I'm outside and I'm walking and I stumble on something, but you happen to see it, that means you were aware of it. Awareness and consciousness. You were conscious of the fact that there was a log on the floor, so you didn't trip on it. If I tripped, it's because I wasn't aware. I wasn't conscious of it. But if you open your perception, you could basically see all these holes that are presented, to you. And it's basically the beauty part about this is when you can start taking responsibility and accountability toward yourself. Because you know how we empower people is basically just putting ourselves in a victim role, right? Where we start to say, they're doing this to us, they're knocking things down, they're doing this to us, the government did that. But where are you in the equation? The fact that we're always talking about the ones that we're pointing the finger on and we don't look at ourselves, that means we're not even in the picture. So where's our power? You get what I'm saying? The fact that you would say, hey, listen, I don't even consent to that. The whole system was shut down if nobody voted, if nobody put attention to it. You know what I'm saying? If we just started our own thing, you know what I'm saying? Our own communities, our own, backing, we wouldn't have this problem. You get what I'm saying? So that was my opinion on that. I'm going to go into a lot of different topics, but I'm going to let you talk, bro.
I'm glad I asked you, because that's basically exactly the way I feel. I just don't have a good way of putting it into words like that. I mean, you are the master of your own reality. And for the most part, I'm pretty good at what I let into my reality. Of course, I get a lot of emails and things like that, and that's how I ran across this information. And that's
Right.
that's sometimes why I don't open a lot of those emails. But no, I'm glad I asked you, because you're absolutely spot on. I mean, you can control what goes into your reality, and like you were saying, it's almost like the butterfly effect. A butterfly, when they flap their wings, it spreads a little ripple in time, but that spreads out and intensifies. And that's exactly what each one of our thoughts do.
Right. If we look at this like we're in a dreamlike state, you know what I'm saying? We start to, like, how I told you that I'm immersed into something I'm doing, like gardening, right? What's happening here is literally there's things that are like surfacing within me because I'm immersed into something that I am like I gained a passion for, but I know it was meant for me to do what I'm doing because of the fact that I'm in my second year and I have this amazing garden. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But just how I'm seeing the ecosystem working, how I'm seeing the interaction with the plants and nature, the bugs that are coming in, including the pests, man, I'll tell you right now, bro, it's connected so many dots to me on how things are going on in my reality, that these are things that are surfacing within me, and it's memory. You know what I'm saying? And now it's not learning, because if you see, we're electric beings, we're electromagnetic, but you have to learn, but you have to earn your knowledge too. The knowledge that comes from within is basically you earning it by maintaining that magnetic state. You open yourself up. That's how you become magnetic. If you're constantly pushing out energy, you're pushing your attention out. Where am I learning this from outside of myself? You're not even home anyway. And hey, listen, the government, which is basically you, is telling you to stay home. You know what I'm saying? They're not telling you something that you shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of ways you can look at things, but let's say somebody had a different point of view as to what I'm saying. I believe in the placebo nocebo effect, because your mind is that powerful, man. Take whatever empowers you, man. You get what I'm saying? I mean, something as simple as to me creating my own universe outside in the garden. I'm creating a universe, because let's say if I destroyed all the pests, I just closed myself. I closed my garden to expanding the universe or expanding an ecosystem. I recently had an invasion of Japanese beetles. I left some out because I know that it's going to open up the doors for beneficial pests to come in, and it's leaving food source open for them. You get what I'm saying? But I still had to take the strong arm and, take action to create that balance as the empowered God source of the creation that I'm doing. If not, then the pests are going to overpower the garden. You get what I'm saying? Yep. Again, many different ways you can look at things. And as long as you're the one that creates your universe, I mean, the people that I meet every day, you know what I'm saying? From the people that I would consider not as bright, I learned from also, because again, I was talking to you before. Yeah, I had a conversation with a doctor. You know what I'm saying? When I'm talking to him, I think I had the conversation before about the B12 and all that, and I was giving him the advice from based on what I know, not what what I'm saying. And he looked at me like I was a dumbass because I don't have a doctorate, but he has the doctorate. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, doctors have a license to practice medicine. They're just licensed practitioners. They're not real healers. You know what I'm saying?
Practice.
So, right. And that's all it is. If you have a pain and it doesn't go away, they'll just give you a stronger medication. You know what I'm saying? But if he would have took my guidance into consideration, it might have helped them, and really cut out a lot of questions he may have toward, he didn't even have the idea toward what the intrinsic factor was or anything like that. What he said was, we don't have the answer to how fasting affects that, because he didn't even say I. He said we, as if he categorized himself part of the whole industry, the medical industry. You know what I'm saying? But then I also reflected on that, and I said I need to not be rigid in my thinking, because I learned something from him as well, to keep my mind open and even be able to be in gratitude. Every time you realize something, the key is to be in gratitude, because that's what you emit out. And that's if somebody gives you something, you normally say thank you, right? Because then you're gonna be like, oh shit, I don't feel like he appreciated it because he didn't even say thank you, man. But the fact that at the moment, and you're conscious of the fact that you realize something, because everything's realization, you will get more because you extended you emitted that frequency to say thank you. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's part of the emitting the frequency, attracting the vibration. You know what I'm saying? And
being the frequency you want to receive.
That's right, man. That's right.
All right, let's see what we got with us real quick, because I'm way behind already, and then we'll get her going. I got one little announcement I want to say before we get going, but who we got? Miss Chloe, Deborah Trudeau, Alex Fox, Scratch, Tony Cherie, Twisted Isby, Deborah Sloan, Mary Wins, Crystal MacArthur, Saturnian Sun, David Castle, Bree Cozy, Lord Dale rolling in here. The family is here. Rebecca Galactinoff, Miss Delaney. There's old Scratch. How you doing? Who else we got going on here? James the Core Jr. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Let's see, I said Miss Chloe, didn't I? Yep. What else we got going on here? Darth Samuel and the guy, and I actually emailed you back, buddy. I don't know if you would like to join Sunday night, but you can have your choice. Check out your email. Jill Jarrett, what's going on? Good to see you. Who else we got going on? I said Jill Jarrett. Yep, Michelle Cannon Free. Good to see you, huh? What else we got going on here? Sunshine on Sophia. I wonder if she's still on the road. She just drove across America, and I feel so bad. she came through Tennessee right when I was at the peak of just terrible sickness, and so I didn't get to meet up with her, and that breaks my heart. Maybe another time. I guess it wasn't meant to be this time. Who else we got going on? Well, lots of people talking, that's for sure. Brandy Robinson, what's going on? Good to see you. All right, I'm about through here. I think I feel like I am. Twisted Isby, I said him, I believe. Thought I missed somebody. If I missed somebody, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to just roll through here real quick so we can get going, because I know we got a lot to cover. There's Miss Trina. She'll be with us tomorrow night if she's feeling up to it. We're going to have Robert V, and we're going to be talking about music and how it makes you feel and uplifting things. So that should be a good show tomorrow night. So tune in for that one. It's probably going to be a 2-part series, not roll over till next week. Claudette Malspina, welcome. Candy Apple, there's another Tennessean. Good to see you. Who else we got? Okay, I finally caught up. What I was going to say is, I know a lot of people have been sending me emails on the book I'm going to start on this Monday or next Monday. That's pretty much up to you all. I wanted to do the visible and invisible worlds of God, but I have literally tried everything as far as sharing it, and it is not allowing me to share it. So I guess it's not meant to be right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the holographic universe either this Monday or next Monday. You know, like I said, that's up to y'all. But the people that's already sent me emails, I will go ahead and start sending the holographic universe out to you all tomorrow. Anybody else that would like a copy, send me an email. And if I send out enough, you know, at least 10 or 15 copies, I'll go ahead and do it this Monday. But, you know, I want to make sure people got their copy to follow along. So anyway, email me on that. That's all I got to say about that. Be the frequency you want to receive, Zigzag. What's up?
All right, so basically, as frequency, man, you already know everything is basically information that we try to seek here. You know what I'm saying? But the reason that I even wanted to speak on this, and I spoke about the garden part and all that, is a lot of the times when we're doing some type of work, whether it's spiritual work or it could be inner work or whatnot, we always try to get the answer the way we communicate like humans. It doesn't come like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We have to come from a space where we're open to, you know, people are gonna be like, well, I don't know anything other than, you know, language or whatnot. But that's because that's how ingrained we are. But when you get into certain altered states, you start to realize that there's an alien language that you can tap into. But again, you must be open to it. You know what I'm saying? The thing is that most of the time we would come into certain positions of doubt where we would start to say, was that an actual message? Was it not? You know what I'm saying? But everything basically that you receive or immerses from within you is basically going to be alien. You know what I'm saying? It'll come in the form of realizations. It'll come basically how I always see everything as within, so without. You may be thinking of something, you'll catch a video
it's like telepathically.
Yeah, it's like, and that's how you know that the mind's, there's an invisible network where, you know, we're all connected, but if we're of the same frequency, you know what I'm saying? There's like a radio station, you know what I'm saying? You tune yourself to that radio station. I tune myself to certain things in my environment, but, you know, I look at gardening, for example, and one of the things that I realize is there's like an invisible network underground where literally trees and all that communicate for miles with a, you know, something called mycelium, basically entangled in the root. The root systems is one thing, but the
and that's proven
is really
by science.
Right. And well, I'll share the link with you, you know, after this, so maybe you could, you know, share it on your page. But there's an invisible network underneath that's responsible for the communication between one tree to another. The other one is, you know, weaker and whatnot. And I spoke about this in one of my videos. But you know how we talk about survival of the fittest, man? It's not even like that, because if you look at nature, they're actually working with each other to ensure the survival of, like, let's say, have anything to do with you have different trees. I look outside in the woods. There's a regular tree. There's a pine tree. There's different trees, and they're all in the same place. One's supposed to be acid loving. The other one's supposed to be a little more alkaline. Yet they're in the same place. How is it that they're feeding each other? You know what I'm saying? It's all fungal and microbial at work. You know what I'm saying? And all that basically is all done through communication. But here, when we garden, we think that planting things together is basically where it comes down to, you know, the competition and whatnot. But the reason why is because it doesn't have the proper nutrients. But the nutrients, as I spoke before, doesn't come in the form of, you know, nutrients that we would think is nutrients. Nutrients is literally information, life force. You know what I'm saying? Because if you really look at that mycelium network, that mycelium network is alive. The food that we're buying in like these stores the same way, and they're labeled organic, it's not real life force. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, that's
we
like,
would need life force. Mm-hmm.
I was even reading a report where they were talking about growing underground. And if your light, you didn't have any lighting, they actually can grow underground in the dark with certain nutrients.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So my Bluetooth died. I didn't even hear that last
Oh,
part.
you sound way better now.
Oh, great. Even better. So yeah, man, if I would have known that, I would have took that off from the beginning. So, you know, and look, for example, I leave this example for the simple fact that there's reasons why people feel dehydrated. There's reasons why people feel, you know, in a low state. Again, it's all programming defined by what actual nutrition is and whatnot, but it's basically a frequency. It's life force. You know what I'm saying? Like if you get an organic apple from the supermarket, it's been packed up in a dark truck. It's been touched by a lot of people, but it was grown in another state. By the time it gets to you, you know, the vibration and the life force is low. Now the nutrients are there to nourish your body, but on a soul or spiritual level, you know what I'm saying? That's where you need that life force, that vibration, where something that was freshly picked out of the garden, where you're eating it right away. That's a certain type of information that connects with the microbes in your stomach to activate certain things within you. Now you can't just eat mindlessly. You have to actually use, this is why meditation and like the concept of prayer came in, is basically you go into a meditation and you're present with your food. So if I'm eating an apple, I'm gonna eat my apple and I'm gonna be present with my apple only. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we have a mycelium network underneath and we were all growing our stuff like that, then what happens is that these mushrooms that come up, notice how mushrooms just the flower of that root system that's underneath. But that mushroom, normally people actually have altered states of consciousness where when they eat the mushroom. But when that mushroom can no longer sustain itself because of the environment, like the sun coming out and whatnot, it goes back to the ground. And where do you think it's getting fed through the plant? Phosphorus, nitrogen, that's what's feeding the plant, and that's information. So that should be passed on to the fruit that's coming out of the plant. You know what I'm saying? So now, again, it doesn't just work by just saying, oh, that's how it's like you're the source, man. You got to move that energy around. You got to connect with that vibration. You get what I'm saying? It's
That's
like,
why people speak favor or pray over their food before they eat it.
right. It's you and you transmute energy like that. You can actually impregnate your food with an intent. So if I'm eating something, it doesn't matter if it's dead food, but if it's dead food, you can actually be the alchemist and convert that energy from within you and give it something to do. You get what I'm saying? Because it's going into your body. Your body processes the food. But again, you look at the word process. When you process, then you have access. You know what I'm saying? But the processing is like a computer. You're putting something into the organic computer, right? Like the same way I would download a file. But if something, let's say, is where your body, because you have to turn your body or upgrade your body. If a file is too big, what happens? The computer can't download it. It says that the file is too big. You need to. What happens when you clear your stuff out? Like let's say even fasting or whatnot, it's kind of like clearing apps where your computer runs more efficiently. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that comes through time and whatnot, which basically comes down to insulin manipulation and whatnot, and how hormones work. But you know, all that stuff is basically something that even as you talk to people, you process the information they say. You notice how somebody, when they talk and they're of a higher frequency, the lower frequency person wouldn't even understand what the hell they're saying anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then, like, because this happened to me where I've heard videos, I didn't understand nothing they were saying, and all of a sudden I go and listen to it later on. I'm like, oh shit, I get it now. I didn't know what he was saying before, but I get it now because you changed your frequency. You know what I'm saying? And it's basically you upgrading yourself so you could be able to process, because it's not just food, it's processing information you listen to, you see. When you see things, you know, your perception is different. When you touch things, you know what I'm saying? Like all these things are you make your senses super senses. You know what I'm saying? And that's just basically how I've been experiencing this as we go along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like all the information, you know, like whether you're getting a download or it's just information coming in through studies or whatnot, you're processing all that information, and there's no way you can remember it all, but like you said, when it comes to you have a problem you're working on, and that information is valid for that problem, you'll remember that information, and then you'll understand how it will help you with that new problem.
Right. Well, who's also processing that information? That's the thing. See, it's like the computer's processing it. It's like if I download a file, who's opening the file? I'm opening the file. The computer ain't opening the file. You get what I'm saying? If not, the file just stays there downloaded, and it's just there taking up space. You get what I'm saying? That's why I even spoke about it in one of my videos. Is it bad to forget things? And forgetting ain't bad. You see, you could use this technology like this in a way where I go back and watch my videos and I'm learning something new again, because it's like, oh shit, I forgot I said that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you kind of like look at yourself and you can actually see where you were, what you can see where you're at, like where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I must have been, I look like I was talking through ego, or I look like I was in a high space, you know what I'm saying? Because you become your own judge. You judge yourself. But then here's the funny thing. If I'm looking at myself on camera, this technically not even me. It's like it's you talking to me. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody else talking to me because it's on camera at another time. It's still in the present moment, but it was just in another time, and I was in another channel, probably another frequency or whatnot. So I'm learning something completely new for myself. You know what I'm saying? Now you have access to the memory within you, because you see, you forget things, but you technically don't forget it. You know what I'm saying? Why do you think you say, oh, I forgot? Oh, wait, it'll come back to me. You know what I'm saying? Because it comes back to you from within you. It doesn't come back from outside in any way. You know what I'm saying? And even if it did, it's still coming out. Everything is you pushed out to some extent, you know? It's like when you start looking at it like that, you start to see the connection between how inside, outside, as above, so below. It really is how it all really connects. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, it does. I thought I saw a question. No, it's for somebody in chat. Never mind. Go ahead.
Nobody has questions?
Not yet. I haven't really been. I've been paying more attention to you, but I saw a question mark, but it was for somebody in chat. Come on, people, ask some questions, but we'll keep it rolling now. So, anyway, what I was going to ask you something. Shit. Brain fart, and I can't remember. Oh, I got paint on my elbow. I've been painting today. I didn't even see that. How long has your awakening process been going on? So, since what year? I know I've asked you this before. I just can't remember.
So basically, like I said, I've always had this curiosity. I've always been one of those type of kids that have never really been able to comprehend the fact of how it all started with the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? I've always had this fascination with aliens. I felt like aliens built the pyramid. I got into a lot of conspiracy theories. And, you know, basically, you know, the whole entire, because my entire life, man, I was like, in a space. I was in New York, you know what I'm saying? I was partying and whatnot, but I still always had that within me, but it just never came out because I kind of just pushed it to the side. It was never really nourished by nobody. I didn't know anybody who would be in that frequency, but basically like 3 or 4 years, I would believe. You know what I'm saying?
How long have you been a nutritionist?
Oh, I've been doing that forever, man. I mean, that's something that I've been passionate about since I was like 21, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to always be a bodybuilder, a sports enthusiast, you know, so.
But do you think that helped you with your awakening, just wanting, because you were getting to know your body? So of course you're going to have to eventually get to know the mind.
Well, you know what, man, that actually is something I'm extremely grateful for. The fact that I was able to work for a supplement industry. I was working for Core Jensen Labs, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I got so in depth and, you know, learning biochemistry. And I mean, I basically started to know basically a lot of how things affect the organs within you, like the kidneys, the liver, you know what I'm saying? Even as far as to going into protein. And I started to look at what is obviously what people would push the most. I would always question, why do people push protein so much? You know what I'm saying? Figuring that your body consists of like, you know, over 2 million different types of protein. And it's funny how we're, you know, trillions of cells, sentient cells, if that, and we need to take so much protein, which in actuality, man, you know, I've noticed that if guys do steroids, guys produce testosterone naturally. But when they take steroids or the form of synthetic testosterone to some extent, their endocrine system shuts down because you put in synthetic testosterone. Now, an overload of protein, I've noticed, will actually do the same effects as to, how gene expression, all this, how it basically, the body repairs and whatnot. Watch, this is what happened to me. I was eating a lot, 6 times a day just to gain weight. And I was a lot bigger, you know what I'm saying, than I am now. You know what I'm saying? But back then when I stopped eating meat on purpose. It wasn't for any it was mainly for spiritual reasons that I gave up meat, but mainly first and foremost was the fact that I was feeling a lot of inflammation within me. I was feeling bloated and I wanted to clear my system out. I got rid of animal products for like a year. Man, I lost so much weight, but in a way where that happened was because my body was responding to the fact that I wasn't giving it the amount of protein that I was used to.
It was
But
eating itself.
I'm not even taking right now more than 50 to 60 grams of protein a day. This is not even an exaggeration because most of my foods consist of fruits and a lot of like leafy greens and whatnot. But from time to time I'll eat, I'm not a vegan because I still eat meat. But if I eat meat today, I'm not gonna eat meat for another 2 to 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it takes up to 5 days if you even eat a piece of steak for it to fully come out of your system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I love steak and things like that, but meat's hard on me to process anymore. And I mean, I still eat a little meat, but like literally, it's a little meat. I don't eat much. I got a couple of questions now. They started asking. Jill Jarrett wants to know, where do you live? I don't know if you want to disclose that, but
I don't mind. I live in North Carolina.
okay, that's right. And
I
then
lived in New York, but
right.
I lived in New York City, but now in North Carolina.
Crystal MacArthur said, how do you handle negative thoughts and how do you stay balanced?
Well, here's the thing. You don't want to suppress negative thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You want to observe the negative thoughts first and find out why they're even there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times your environment influences what is literally coming into your mind. You know what I'm saying? But these negative thoughts, sometimes if you have negative thoughts, as an empowered source, you want to look at yourself as God here, working out what your deficiencies may be, and they may come in that form, and you want to look at that as a blessing to actually try to work and express that with it if it's possible to express it. But to stay balanced, you don't want to suppress anything. You need to take it as it goes and try to alter the movie if you want, because you alter the frequency.
Process it, let it go.
Right. And if it's something that serves you, you could either transmute it or devour it, one of the two, but you use your imagination to literally, with your imagination, picture it where you look like you're cutting it with a scissor, or you could transmute it to something else. Well, you know how normally you stay in a movie in your head? You could change the movie as you go along, be the director, and then you kind of alter the way you look at it or the way it even started off. You know what I'm saying? And you can actually change your moods that way.
Saturnian Sun says, I'm not really understanding the question. Maybe you will. Did signage an individual teacher?
What does it say?
Did signs say have an influence teacher? I guess, do you have an influence teacher maybe from your past? I'm not really sure.
Do I have an influential teacher?
Yeah, do you have somebody that influenced you early on?
I mean, I've been into many conspiracy theories and all that, but I've heard, different videos that have resonated with me. Half the times that I haven't, really understood fully until, I started to meditate and just see the eating different is not really going to make you more spiritual. What it's going to do is it's going to clear your head a little bit. It's going to clear your body out. You know what I'm saying? When you got a full stomach, you know what I'm saying? Like, or you got a lot on your mind. Let's say you tell people, I don't want to hear that. I got too much on my mind. Let me just chill out. Same way. But influential teachers, I mean, I don't even have any off the top of my head. Is that the question he's asking you? Did I have an influential teacher?
He says right here,
somebody that I've watched.
He says yes. Who influenced your awakening? And I think you kind of answered that a little bit earlier. You said basically you'd always kind of been like that, but
it started from conspiracy theories. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to watch people like David Icke and the thing is that I started to realize that the more you get into the conspiracy, it's basically empowering the reality that they're proposing to you. You know what I'm saying? And it's up to you to engage, because propose in Spanish means or you know, like when you want to engage is comprometer, it means buy in, you know what I'm saying? So you buy into an idea, because everything's an idea. They feed you ideas. It's information, but it's also, you notice how it's food and it tastes good, you know what I'm saying? But is it really, is it beneficial for you? You know what I'm saying?
Everything all right? You got a ghost?
Yeah, well, you know, baby all over me. But you know, does it benefit you to eat that? Sometimes you know better, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when we say we know better, like, you know how somebody, like, say they're overweight and they want to lose weight, and then they say, oh man, you know, I know better, I shouldn't be eating this, but it tastes so good, and they eat it anyway. But that's giving into that addiction or whatnot. Conspiracy theories become addictive. I became addicted to conspiracy theories. I became addicted to alien channels. From there, I started to realize my perception of things were going too immersed into that. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like I was creating my reality based on the conspiracies I was watching. So I hope that
Basically, you were.
I'm sorry?
Basically, you were.
Right. And I hope that answered the question for you, Saturnian.
Yeah, and see, it's similar, because I guess you're, like I said, awakening was around 2015, 2016, because that's when mine was as well. And that's
Yeah.
exactly how mine, the Planet X is what brought me to YouTube. Like, I always thought YouTube was for kids and stuff, and that's what brought me in. So like, I guess it's a part of that questioning. I never would have thought in a million years that it would bring me to where I'm at as far as spiritually in life. You know, like I said, I grew up Christian and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful now that I did get into all that, because look at where it's brought me, and the community it's brought me as well, as far as the knowledge.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just like I'm trying to say, is just starting to question what most people wouldn't even bother with.
Right. And you want to question everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to question yet keep an open mind, you know?
Yep. Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely don't know everything, and I'm open to, you know, just about anything as long as it makes some kind of sense. I mean,
Right.
But you know, to each their own.
Yeah.
As above, so below, said that's what brought them to YouTube as well. The sky, you know, I think that's a part of looking up, and you know, like I was saying, when I was a kid, you know, I was always, whether you believe in space or not, that's irrelevant. But like, you know, I always look to the skies, would be laying back in the grass and either looking at the clouds or the stars,
Man,
and just wondering what's up there.
I was like that. I used to come out in the morning, go into my house. I was constantly looking up because I wanted to see an alien spaceship. That's why.
I think I saw one last night, to be honest with you. I went outside and it was, man, it was so clear. And, you know, it's a relatively new moon. I mean, it's a crescent, but it had already went down. And man, I guess there wasn't a cloud in the sky, you know, or even a haze, because you could see so many stars. But I saw quite a bit of movement up there. You lived in North Carolina, so have you got any of that Saharan sandstorm? Have you been seeing any of that?
You know what? I actually had, I think, a tornado uh, came by a few days ago. And I mean, my patio table and chairs went flying all over the place. But I thought it was going to be catastrophe when I went outside, because I was outside. Literally, I was like, I was pruning some stuff, and it was sunny, hot. And then out of nowhere, like within 10 minutes, it got real cloudy, real dark. And I'm like, wow, it looks like it's going to rain. Then I started to feel that pour, boom. And I ran inside, but then some winds. And that's how you know it was a tornado, because it literally was 10 minutes and it was done. Yeah. But the only catastrophe I saw was a pepper plant that got cut in half. So it was like split in half.
The reason I ask is because there's a lot of the sand that's up in the upper atmosphere right now. And I put a video out yesterday that's showing it's the skies, especially at sunrise and sunset, when the sand is up in the atmosphere, man, leaving some beautiful skies though. But
I haven't seen any of that.
Oh, really? Go check out that video from yesterday. I know, see, that's why I was asking, because the way the plume came up, it came up through the Gulf of Mexico and come back towards Tennessee. So I think it did go around North Carolina. But man, it's been some crazy, beautiful skies. It's amazing that sand can come from that far.
Oh, I'm going to check the video out for sure.
No. So anyway, okay. See if we've got any questions here. There was so much going on. I was like, what is going on? That's not a question for you. Was everything all right there a minute ago when you had the crash?
Say that again.
Was everything all right when you had that crash a minute ago?
Oh no, that was just because I put up the blinds before, but I may have put it on loose and it just fell. You know what I'm saying? It's like right over the air conditioner.
You do have a
It's like
ghost.
one of these
Yeah.
blinds right here.
Yeah.
It's like one of those blinds. I have it over there in the dining room area, and it just fell. I must have put it on loose. I don't know. That or it was knocked over on purpose. Who knows?
So, do you ever listen to any of those, like, so radio? I don't know how to say that word. But different tones and frequencies.
Binaural
The what?
binaural beats.
Binaural beats. But yeah, but some of them are called solfeggio or something like that.
Solfeggio, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's, yeah. So I was listening to binaural beats at one point very, very heavily. And I've actually had a lot of different experiences on certain frequencies I was listening to. But again, it's not always the binaural beats that's doing it. Is you're focused toward what you're doing when you're meditating. You know what I'm saying? Because I noticed that when I'm not focused, I could be listening to binaural beats and nothing happens. But when I'm really, really focused and tuned into what I'm doing, I've had certain experiences. Like I remember one time I felt like I was laying down and I felt like I was spinning on my bed as if I was on a wheel. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Real. I mean, I'm talking about, this was an experience where I had to literally open my eyes to see if I was actually spinning, but I wasn't spinning. It was so freaking real, man. And then I closed my eyes back up and I was spinning again, but it started getting faster and faster. So I got scared, you know what I'm saying? So I just kind of snapped out of that. But and that happened by focusing. When you focus on your crown chakra, you start to feel like you have a hat on and whatnot.
Yep.
So that's when those things happen. You start to feel the energy come down from, like, your throat, and you start to feel the different centers kind of like, and it's not even what we would traditionally know as our chakra centers. Certain different places started, you have energy centers that kind of activate, you feel them pulsating and whatnot. And that's just moving energy, and releasing blockages that can actually feel to some extent where, let's say if you're not used to it, or you're not, sometimes you may not even be able to handle the energy that you move around or the energy you wield in, and it feels like your heart starts racing, like do 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 do. But I don't even know why I said all that. What was the original question?
We were just talking about.
Oh, the binaural beats.
Yeah.
So binaural beats, man. Sometimes with binaural beats, I'd like to focus more on like natural sounds. Like that's why I put a patio table outside. I like to just sit there and just kind of listen to even the beetles flying around or whatnot, or like a certain, birds or insects, the trees brushing up against each other. Believe it or not, man, trees are always trying to communicate with you. You know what I'm saying? They release pheromone scents. They release a frequency vibration within the leaves and all that. And it's like, we can't understand it because we always try to, again, get that communication in a human form, and it doesn't come in a human form. It comes in different type of ways that you would never believe it'll come in, So
yeah, I've actually got a story I've told before, but I'll tell it again. But first of all, I just want to say binaural beats can be helpful. Like that's how I started off with meditation. I had a hell of a problem with meditating as far as clearing my mind. And so to have something to focus on besides that silence, that silence is why my mind was still racing. So that helped me as far as that goes. But now I prefer silence, or like you said, nature, when I'm meditating. But the story I have as far as the meditating and connecting with nature is when I lived at the last house, and I was sitting out on the front porch one day, and it was really hot, and the wind was blowing, real hard and stuff. So that kind of felt good. But anyway, so I started meditating on the front porch, and you could hear the crickets and the frogs all around and stuff like that. Well, I started meditating, then all of a sudden the wind stopped. It got real cool. All the crickets and frogs, everything just stopped and went silent. And it was like I had that connection with the earth. And like I literally just started crying.
Yeah. See, the binaural beats help you focus, you know what I'm saying, which is good. So like if you can't like be in meditation, then the binaural beats help. Silence, I don't know if you've ever heard when you're like in a really, really silent environment, like not even nature sounds. You'll actually hear the sound of silence. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
notice that it's like a frequency
Static.
that you'll hear, right? And you know, you'll start to hear certain things. What's funny is that certain things will actually sound like actual words if you actually like, even when, like, say if I have the dryer going off, there'll be certain sounds that come out of that that actually sound like actual words. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're really sitting there paying attention to like the environment, white noise could do that. And there's different things that can come out. But again, that would be you really, really having to be focused on that to pay attention. Because
Let me
things
ask
communicate you through things, you know?
let me ask you a question. I've talked about this with somebody else before. Can't remember who, but have you ever been in, I don't know, your room, your car, wherever, but it's totally silent. Let's say your room, laying in bed before you go to sleep, because there's nothing on anywhere. And it sounds like you hear a radio station in your head or something like.
Oh, oh, dude. Yes.
Is
It
is
literally
that
sounds,
tuning into
it's,
that frequency or what is it?
dude, it sounds like you're adjusting a knob on a radio. It's
Yes.
like, yeah, I
Yeah.
totally, yeah, man. So have you ever had this experience when you actually just sit there and stay focused on that and you actually hear words like in your head?
I've heard music.
You hear music?
Yeah, like I said, it was like a radio station. I
Yeah,
literally got
okay,
up out
okay.
of bed, walked all over the house outside to see if there was a
Yeah,
radio on.
dude, you were tuned in, but again, I heard words. I just, it sounded like, you know, the words were far away. I couldn't really make what they were saying, but I heard like people talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's funny is my uncle, he's an older man, you know what I'm saying? And he says that he sees people walking around the house, you know what I'm saying, where he's at. And he says that some look like giants, some look like really small people, some look like really obese people, some people look like they're, you know, in like in medieval clothing. He says that there's all kinds of people, and he said there's even aliens that, well, people, you know, people that look like aliens that actually have like certain, you know, machineries in their hand, and they try to interact with you by you know, putting like something close to you to try to like zap you or something.
Mhm.
I don't know. I found that pretty interesting because anybody who would hear him would say, "Oh, he's getting old and senile," but in actuality, man, it's not even that, because just the fact that me and you can actually tune into hearing something, there's also a way to actually see, you know, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's probably, you know, tuning in on a visual, and yeah, that was totally asking him 1,000 questions after that. I'm like, yeah, but what did you do? And you know what I'm saying? He's like, well, I started freaking out because people were having sex too. He said they were walking through the walls. And I'm like, damn, dude, you know?
You know, I mean, we're just now rediscovering what our minds can do, and I mean, literally just rediscovering. Like, yeah, I think what they say, we use what, 12% of our, or 28% of our DNA, something like that, but still the rest of it's supposedly junk DNA. I swear, like I've said many times, I think that's our hidden superpowers. You know, we can make things levitate. We can
Yeah.
time travel. We can do whatever we want to do. It's just remembering how to do it.
Well, I believe that the emotions is like the filtering system here. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, it's an emotional game, but you know, that's why the saying goes, it's not personal, it's just business. You know what I'm saying? But people take it too personal when they see something outside of them happening, when in actuality, it's like minding your business. You know what I'm saying? That's why people say when you mind your business, you're home. It's like, if, like I made the example, like if you have a store or a business, you're not gonna leave your business unattended, because then you're prone to getting robbed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you're in your store and you're paying attention, you're aware of what's going on. Same thing with, like, this is why I talk about energies and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people get scared with certain energies, whether it's dark or light, but in actuality, man, it ain't no different than appliances in your house. You know what I'm saying? Like, what good are the energies of the appliances if you don't connect them or you don't use the appliances? You know what I'm saying? But again, if you're a child and you don't know how to use it, then yeah, you can get hurt, you can get shocked. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's just about having the maturity to be able to do that, coming from an empowered space, not the ego space. Because a lot of people, they say, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that," but it's like if you're feeding in an egoic space, you're really not gonna have the access to that kind of energy anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're not of frequency just coming from that space anyway. You know?
Um, we got about 12 minutes left, and I really want to kind of get into this. Do you have any recommendations or anything like that of how people can work on their energy?
First and foremost, become your best friend. All right. Because you know how dogs, they say, are man's best friend. All right.
Yep.
Dog is loyal to you, but there's also scientific studies that if you die in the house, the dog will eat you up too. Doesn't matter how much he loved you. You know what I'm saying? Now, this body is your best friend. You know what I'm saying? Now, God, dog, interchangeable backwards. If you look at yourself as the empowered source, God, you're your own best friend, the same way the dog considers you its friend. But your body is what you can trust the most. Just like you could trust your dog, the dog, actually, you have a really good relationship with your dog, right? Man's best friend. When you trust in your body and what you can do, and I'm talking about from an unconditional space, man. I mean, have faith in what you're doing. That's you spending time with yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like in meditation and whatnot. Because people, when you have a girlfriend, you want to hang out with her to build a relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's how love grows. But how many people actually sit with themselves and spend time with themselves by themselves with no outside interference? You know what I'm saying? People can't really be by themselves. And most of the time when they are by themselves, they can't help but to look on their phone, on social media, you know what I'm saying? Or start texting somebody or call somebody because they feel lonely. But when, it's not feeling lonely, when you're alone, you're all one. You get what I'm saying? So recommendations as to how to manage your energy is becoming your best friend, and you can actually get to know yourself from a space where whatever you're seeing outside of you, you get to reflect back and say, hey, I know myself. I know that this has got to be coming from a space that I need some type of work on. And it sounds cliche, but it's about as basic as it gets for that reason, because it really is that easy. It's just sitting back and not being a victim to anything. When you're a victim, like I said, you start pointing fingers. You don't even put yourself in the story. You're not even in the equation. You're just pointing at the person you're empowering because you're putting all your energy to that.
Giving all your power away.
People say, I can't believe this happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Like even saying this happened, this didn't happen to you. You did it to yourself. You get what I'm saying?
You let it happen to you.
Right. So to manage your energies, man, it's basically controlling. It's more having control of the animal nature. You know what I'm saying? We all have it. You know what I'm saying? But it's about riding the beast, not letting the beast take over you. You know what I'm saying? You're in control of the beast. The same way the dog is not going to walk you, you walk the dog. You're going to train your dog, you train your body. The same way you go to work, they train you at work, you train your body at the gym, they train you mentally. You know what I'm saying? They indoctrinate you in school by training you. You know what I'm saying? So everything's training. So what do? Other people don't train my dog. I train my dog. So I'm going to make sure that I train my body mentally, spiritually, and physically. When I go to the gym, I don't need a personal trainer. I'm training myself, because to have a personal trainer, you got to pay money to pay a personal trainer. You know what I'm saying? And you depend on that person for all the knowledge and wisdom. But if you learn the stuff for yourself, then that wouldn't require you having to spend money. The same way you get to learn all these things on your own. You know how to basically, even working out, man. There's a beautiful science to working out, where it's mind to muscle connection. I literally, when I'm seated, like if I'm doing free weights, then I'm not gonna do this. But if I'm sitting in a machine where I'm gonna do like shoulder presses or chest press, you know what I'm saying, and I close my eyes, I can actually feel that direct connection between my mind and the muscles that I'm actually working. And I get a pump that I normally don't get, but because I'm firing different muscles that I normally don't when I'm doing stabilizer muscles during free weights. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, man, everything is that creative mind, that creative genius, and that beautiful mind is something that, we're here to use, but not for somebody else to control it. So how to manage the energies is basically putting that attention back to you. If you see something outside of you that triggers you, look at that as a blessing in disguise, because it really is a blessing in disguise. You could sit back and instead of like being mad at it because it's an emotional game, you get mad at it, you fed an emotion into it. You engaged in an emotion, you fed into it. That's why I said I fed into that. That means that you're basically giving your energy away. You don't pay attention to it. You know what I'm saying? Keep the attention towards you and figure out how you can transmute it the same way you do when you eat food. You know what I'm saying? You transmute the energy, and that's where the whole concept of prayer came in. If not, you're either the prey or the predator, but you know what I'm saying? There's got to be a balance somewhere, But I hope that answers.
We talked before the show, I think it was. I don't think we talked about it during the show, but you were talking about guys being more energy related as far as having to expend that energy to get it out, and women are able to do it through their monthly cycle. So my question to you is, do you do any Reiki or energy healing? I would think that you would have some kind of touch on that, being a
Now,
bodybuilder.
right now, anybody could do Reiki. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
basically knowing how to channel that energy through the
Yep.
from the from the crown chakra, you know, through you, and basically manipulate the energies through your fingers. These are, you notice how your fingers are electric. You know what I'm saying? You can do this, and you basically, those are electrical charges. But the whole thing is that you have to know how to manage your energies, because if you do that, you can actually, you either drain yourself or you can use the energies to your advantage. Either way you put it, but there's always going to be a symbiotic
Give and
a
take.
symbiotic thing going on there. You know what I'm saying? Reciprocity too at the same time. The person's got to trust you doing that, and you have to be able to trust the person, you know, that you're going to be working on. You know
That's
what I'm
why I
saying?
always say you should ask permission before you do any energy work on anybody.
Yeah, yeah, and listen, man, anybody can do direct energy work on themselves. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, if you have a partner that you can trust, because I do hypnosis also, so there's a level of trust there that comes in too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because um hypnosis, man, you kind of lose, you I mean, if you let yourself get truly hypnotized, then you know you lose your awareness to, you know, it's going, something is feeding your subconscious mind. But notice how when you watch TV, you know, you're so zoned in that when somebody's talking to you, kind of like, oh, I didn't know you was, you know, you kind of have to ask the question, you know, what happened, or you know, you lost yourself.
Right.
So but then when you go into, like, let's say if you go into hypnosis, I mean into a hypnosis session, it's harder to get hypnotized because you're aware that you're going to get hypnotized. But it's funny, you watch TV, you're not even aware that you're getting hypnotized, so you're more easily hypnotized.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? But
Yep.
notice how when you go to a hypnotist, it'll be harder because you know that you're there to get hypnotized. So it's like a level. Do you see how the awareness thing works? You can actually use it to your advantage, man.
Absolutely. Well, man, that was awesome. Love it. It always flies by when I have you on. And like I said, now, you know, hopefully my health doing better. I want to start scheduling shows, and I don't want it to be as long this next time. So I'd like to at least get you back on here in a couple of weeks. Real quick, I do want to say a couple of announcements first, and then I'm going to give you a final thought. Once again, I want to tell everybody that Monday, I'm going to start the holographic universe. It's not going to be the visible and invisible worlds of God, because I can't get that to share. So everybody that's emailed me so far, I'm going to go ahead and send out the holographic universe to you all. And anybody else that wants it, email me at milkywayweekly@gmail. I'll be more than happy to send that out to you. So check that out. Tomorrow night, I'll be having Robert V and Trina Phoenix. And then I think Sunday is Darth Samuel. It'll either be Brian Lunsford, Kent Nichols, and whoever. So we'll figure that one out. But anyway, why don't you bless us with the final thought?
Yeah. So here's the most important thing, man. As far as like managing energies, a lot of the times, you know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about how we're source, we're empowered and all that. If it's coming from a pure space, you know what I'm saying? That's cool. But most of the time, there's people who will come from an ego space. There's something I've noticed too with certain people that you know, I watch, and it's basically I watch it as an observer, but I have to also, again, I don't want to look at it and judge it. Is more or less like I say to myself, I'm learning from that as well. Basically, when you know how people say, you know, they preach their God, they preach their source, they preach their this. It's the same way, like, you give your energy away the same exact way you would give your energy away when you preach about the God outside, like a pastor preaching about, you know what I'm saying, God and whatnot. It's the same exact thing, yet it's still not a direct mirror, but it's still a mirror. Because if I raise my hand, my right hand at the mirror, it looks like I'm raising my left hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I want people to realize when I say reflect, it's not always going to be a direct reflection. Sometimes it may be reflection in ways where it's not going to even make sense at first. But if you sit back and just meditate on it, you'll see that it's actually a reflection in a way where it wouldn't be direct. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be exactly where if I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I'm raising my right hand, the right hand, right, you know, it looks like the left hand's going up. Sometimes it'll come in indirect ways. So, yeah,
You know,
I mean,
and everything, our vision, everything we see is inverted.
right, right, and you know, our brain makes it right side up, you know,
Right.
for us. You know, so, yeah, I mean, it's basically looking at it from all angles, man. again, don't be rigid, be open-minded. You know what I'm saying? When you could look at things from different angles, you look at it from different perceptions, because everything's different angles of light. You know what I'm saying? And people's perspective and perception, like my good idea may be your bad idea. You know what I'm saying? Or like your evil thought may be my brilliant thought. It's like whatever it may be, everybody's on a different path. But at the end of the day, all paths lead to the same place. As long as you dedicate yourself and believe in what you're doing, and know that you're actually coming from a divine space and not from somewhere you heard something from. Because a lot of the times what people know is basically what they have been told. Like you can hear, for example, like if you ask, like, let me ask you, why did you believe in Santa Claus when you were younger? Because your parents told you, right?
Yep.
So, well, I mean, you believe them, but you never saw Santa Claus. You only believe them because they're your parents, right? So
Yep.
it's like what you hear, just question it. You know what I'm saying? Always keep an open mind, but question everything that you believe in, and question your reality. And it just basically leaves the doors open to a flood of information coming in, because it's basically not information. It's not forming your nature. It's kind of like you eat food, you process it, but you poop out what you don't need. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. You absorb the information, absorb the life force and nutrients of what you're learning, and let out what doesn't serve you. And a lot of people want to stay stuck on it. Oh, he said this, and they judge how that person said it, or maybe that person didn't express themselves correctly. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just probably they probably not perfected the human form of how you would look at it. And somebody who speaks perfectly, maybe they just are better human. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all being human, but it doesn't mean we are human. We're just doing human things. But if you think too human, then you stay in the perception of human instead of opening your God to a God mentality, which is basically the broad perception of like how everything works and how you can start connecting dots outside of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's my final thought, man.
Yep, you are limitless. So you're the one that sets the limits on yourself. So
That's right.
well
Man.
said, my friend. Well, brother, like I said, I want to have you back sooner rather than later. And once again, folks, tomorrow night, Robert V, Trina Phoenix, we're going to talk about the influence of music. I love you all. And thank you so much for your continued love and support. And thank you, Zigzag. Until next time, be the frequency you want to receive, folks. I love you all. Have a wonderful night.